Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Grumpy Pilot to our next flight here on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. There's one commercial airliner that we haven't been flying yet. That is the 747 or the 748 to be more precise. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to fly the Cargolux 748, the cargo airplane, from Cairo International Airport to the home base of Cargolux, which is in Luxemburg, Echo Lima Lima X-ray. As always, we start out with the flight planning from SimBrief. This gives us our weight, load distribution, everything. So we have a takeoff weight, so 820,000 pounds. The fuel is normally 125.5, payload is 262.3. I haven't been really able to figure out the load screen here in FS2020. So if I go to weight and balance, whenever I set up the payload to be near the number that I have of SimBrief, let's say 26,000 pounds or so, I get a CG out of limit report here. So we can offset a little bit by increasing the fuel load, which doesn't make much sense because we don't want to have that much fuel on board. Actually, we want to save fuel, but there is no other way. So what I'm aiming at is to get the overall weight of the airplane in place. So that's 820.4. And I can achieve that by balancing between the payload and the fuel. It doesn't make much sense to me, but I haven't been able to figure out any other way. So our payload is 125, which is actually our fuel load, I would say. And the fuel is at 210, so we have 70,000 roundabout pounds more than we actually should have, which doesn't make much sense. But so we're near the 820 that we have from SimBrief. ATC options is a real flight, like I said, so its call sign is CV, flight number is 8512. Aircraft selection again is the Cargolux 748 with the mask texture. As for the routing, let's have a quick look. So Cairo International, we're taking off runway 5, turning left up northwest to be more precise, heading into the Mediterranean Sea, then flying via Cyprus and into Greece, Albania, following Croatia, nicking at Italy here, Austria, flying by Innsbruck, the mountains here. Hopefully we have some good visuals. Into Germany, and then slowly we are going to be flying up to Luxembourg. Here we go, GIVOD 1S, approach into runway 24. GIVOD 1S, runway ILS 24. So yes, so that's it for the setup. As for the flight conditions, we're flying live weather. Plane departs at 6:20, usually in the morning. We're going to be starting at 6:03 to set up the aircraft and also taking into account the taxiway. Okay, so that's it for the setup. Without further ado, let's jump into the cockpit and get this plane into the air. All right, so here we are on the apron. Our Cargolux, beautiful Cargolux, Queen of the Skies here, 748, at Hotel Echo Charlie Alpha. This is the airport. Never been there personally, never been to Egypt, so I'm not familiar with the airport. It's one of the handcrafted, or so-called handcrafted airport in FS 2020. So let's set up the aircraft. As always, start the batteries and the ground power. So we'll give you a little word of warning because I'm not sure if I will be able to fly this aircraft from Cairo to Luxembourg without any trouble. I've tried 2 or 3 times. This aircraft, of all the 3, commercial jetliners that are in FS2020 is probably the most buggy one and the most incomplete one, the most erratic one. It's not really fun to fly. It does a lot of things which are, I would say, inexplicably stupid and wrong. Again, the rendering, everything, cockpit rendering is beyond any criticism. It's really nice. The textures are nice, everything, the lighting. That's great, but just in terms of the systems, system depth, it's really, really lacking. So that's just a little disclaimer I want to give up ahead. And we're still going to try to fly this aircraft as closely as possible to real-world procedures. But again, I'm not entirely sure whether I can complete that in the end. Let's see. So let's set up the FCU. Position in it. So again, we're at Hotel Echo Charlie Alpha, and put in our position here, and the route is already put in there. Cruise altitude is 420. That's quite a lot. We're going to put in 340 instead. Cost index, I have not found a way of entering something here, even though it's suggesting that you can put in a value here. It's not working. Fuel is 210. That's a lot. Zero for weight 610, ground weight 821. Reserves, I cannot put in anything either. Thrust limit, I think we're always taking off with TOGA power, so there's no point in entering a value here. Let me put in 48 just for the sake of it, to have some sort of D rate. Takeoff will be taken off with flaps 10. Runway conditions dry, 5C. Okay, back to the IIS 200. Let's see what the V2 was in the init page. Here we go, 209 at the V for the V2. And the altitude, the initial climb altitude, will get in a second from ATC. So let's fire up a PU and get started in order to plan for the pushback. As for the signs, we need beacon should be on, nav should be on, seat belts and signs we don't necessarily need because we're only 2 pilots in the cockpit. You cannot set anything here on the right because everything is just fake buttons, but I should be turning on the fuel pumps. Not those. Crossfeed fuel, the window heat should go on, and we have APU power available, so we can disconnect the external power and then prepare for the pushback. But first of all, let's get our co-pilot here in action and get clearance for us.
FS2020 Heavy IFR to Luxemburg, ready to copy. CV8512 Heavy is cleared to Luxemburg Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 5 center, climb and maintain 7,000 feet. Departure frequency is 119.35 squawk 7234.
Okay, 5C 7000.
CV8512 Heavy cleared to Luxemburg Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 5 center, climb and maintain 7,000 feet. Departure on 119.35 squawk 7234.
50.
CV8512 Heavy, read back correct. Contact ground on ONE 20.1. Ground CV8512 Heavy requesting pushback.
So setting up this aircraft, which should be a rather complex matter is actually quite easy. Standby power Q on. I don't know if we have to turn in something here. Where's the transponder? I was pointed out that in my flight of the A320 I forgot to turn on the transponder. Set transponder to standby. TARA. Here we go. And we have to go somewhere over there. So this is that part. I think 5C is here. The pushback is already starting, as you can tell. And we're gonna go to the left, to the right.
Ground
There we go.
CV8512 Heavy requesting pushback to steer the aircraft to the right.
The first engine, let's start with engine number 1.
CV8512 Heavy, your request has been transmitted to the operator. Ground CV8512 Heavy requesting the end of pushback. CV8512 Heavy request to end pushback received. Ground CV8512 Heavy with Sierra ready
Starting
to taxi IFR.
Engine number 3. Not sure about the proper start sequence, to be honest.
Using taxiway Juliet Sierra Tango. Contact tower on
I can already turn taxi light
taxi
and
to
run
and hold
alternate
short
lights.
runway 5 center using taxiway Juliet Sierra Tango CV8512 Heavy.
Start is good. Turn off the APU and taxi lights, everything I already put on. Fuel pumps are on. I think we're good to go. Release parking brake and let's get this bird into gear. And we switch to some camera. I still don't know how to switch between these cameras using buttons rather than having to go through the camera menu. There probably will be some function here. There should be. There are some other commercial jetliners. The ominous United livery. There's a WizJet. Yeah, looks nice though. I'm hoping that someone with a proper traffic package comes out soon. But let's not get sidetracked here. So we are at the holding point. Oh, we forgot to set flaps. Flaps 10. I think also the other thing we should set is auto brake projected takeoff. And now we should be good to go.
Cairo Tower CV8512 Heavy ready for IFR departure runway 5 center.
CV8512 Heavy cleared for takeoff runway 5 center.
Cleared for takeoff runway 5 center CV8512
Okay, cleared for takeoff.
Heavy.
Lights on. Taxi lights off. Strobe lights on. That should be it. And increase the range a little bit here to follow the track. Everything else should be set TARA. So yeah, let's go. Fly to Luxemburg. Okay, so I should be sitting a little bit more to the left, a tiny little bit. There we go. Then let's spool up the engine. Turn thrust on. There we go. Nose down. 100 knots. V1. And rotate. There we go. Up in the air, not too skewed. There we go. Gear up, and there again, this happened to me on some other flights earlier, is that the flight director bar, the horizontal bar, is below the horizon. So that's the next bug. We want to fly V2. That's what we do.
HECA-ELLX heavy contact, Cairo Center
And
on 119.35.
Flight path
Going
here,
to
so let me
119
turn
decimal
on
tree 5
LNAV.
CV8512 heavy. Cairo Center CV8512 heavy is climbing
This
through
is a bit too steep.
1,600 feet for 7,000 feet.
CV8512 heavy Cairo Center, continue as planned. Altimeter
I'll turn on the autopilot so we can have a little bit of look outside. There we go. Suburbs of Cairo, looks nice. Also watch the instruments, so flaps 5. Bit off our lateral path. Yeah, the combination of the texture and the sky effects, the atmospheric effects, this really is one of the strong suits of Flight Simulator. I have really trouble with this word. You can also see the pyramids up in the back here. So this is Cairo. It was a good start, maybe a bit too steep. Our little lean in there after taking off from the runway.
CV8512 heavy climb and maintain 16,000 feet.
Climb maintains 16,000.
Climb and maintain 16,000 feet CV8512 heavy.
Let's put flaps in, flaps 1. So we're flying vertical profile, lateral profile, LNAV, VNAV as planned, and also on the autopilot. The Nile Delta, very green, the desert in the back. Yeah. Wasn't too bad so far. I mean, I was very critical of this aircraft, but it hasn't really committed any big blunder yet. We'll see. Maybe that'll show at some point. But so far we can enjoy the scenery. We're gonna be above 10,000 soon. Can also turn on standard. Fine, and now get the flaps in. So here's the first one. Why am I descending?
Egypt Air 748, contact Cairo approach on 120.7.
Okay, flaps up. Now we have this crazy climb speed again. They were quite naturalistic, I would say, so far, but now they're too accelerated again for such a heavy aircraft. So let's go down to 1. 650. It's a pity you cannot move this view like you can in X-Plane, for example. I can zoom in and out and sort of adjust and fine-tune this view. But here it is simply a static view. I cannot change it. All right, so we are on our flight level 340, 34,000 feet up in the air, and as you can see, we're hitting water, or we're above the Mediterranean Sea right now. Heading north, let's have a look at the map. Water, 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 water. So at some point, I believe we will see Cyprus and then fly over the Greek islands. Greece proper, then Albania, Croatia, Bosnia, along the Adriatic coast here and into Italy. Then hopefully we have some visibility here, as I said earlier, so we will cross the Alps at Austria, Zurich, Switzerland. So it's in the latter stages a quite scenic route, and then turn north and eventually land at Luxembourg. All right, so we are now flying, or we just arrived at the island of Cyprus. We're all flying Cyprus, as you can see here. Clouds have been coming in. So we had pretty good weather above the Mediterranean Sea from the time we left Egypt until pretty much here. Now we have some clouds coming in, and Cyprus is below. I'm not exactly familiar with the geography of the island. I've been there once, a beautiful island. Limassol was the city I was, so it's the Greek part. There's a thunderstorm, as you just saw, flash. Our, hope to see somewhat some of the scenery down below, especially when we're crossing the Alps, doesn't seem to come true because, yeah, there's a dense cloud coverage here. Let me turn on the weather here. Let's turn weather radar, see what comes out there. You can see it's not too bad. I mean, it's not even red clouds, but you can see that when I increase the range to 160 nautical miles, so for about the next half hour we will be overflying a densely covered area. All right, next checkpoint, we're actually overflying Athens right now, but again, yeah, unfortunately nothing to see. We're actually hitting some high-level clouds as we speak. You can see here ADV is the, I think, VOR waypoint of Athens, of Lima, Golf Alpha, Victor, of course. We should be overflying the city right now, but unfortunately nothing to see because dense cloud coverage, as I said before. And you can see there's a strong wind here from the west, northwest, 71 knots. That's why the aircraft is kind of leaning into the left to kind of counter the wind blowing from the left here, so that we're not getting blown off track. We have a bit of a gap in the cloud coverage here, so we can see some of the Greek mountains. I assume it's still Greece, I'm not sure. Let's have a look. No, this is the weather, excuse me. So let's have a look outside the window, how that looks like.
right, we are, where are we? We're close to the city of Zadar, in Croatia, still heading towards Istria. This is the peninsula here. And as you can see, we are again heading for bigger cloud coverage. This looks quite dramatic here with the coastal mountains below and these different layers of clouds. I have to say I'm really impressed by the weather system of FS2020. This is really, yeah, something where, well, even though we got an update here right now as we speak, but still impressive. This is something that was missing. You know, this is one of the strongest points of this new simulator, that they have this really very complex and multi-layered, very convincing weather system. Even though one could argue that the color of the clouds is a bit too grayish, they all look like they have been washed through smog or something. But yeah, and you can see here, these are severe clouds. There's really bad weather ahead, even with pinkish kind of sections. And doesn't look much better up north. It's actually exactly where we're heading to. The range is 320, but that's probably will have a bit of better weather once we are close to Luxemburg. But for now, oops, yeah, so hit by probably this front of clouds rushing in here. But not because of my wrongdoing, but because this is just the simulation. The simulation, 4 fingers in the air making the bracket sign, is really so bad. And because this is super buggy, absolutely infuriating to fly this aircraft. It's fine with takeoff and everything. Even there, it behaves a little bit awkward. The elevator bar, as I saw during takeoff, is basically just after takeoff, like going below the horizon instead of rising up there. The speeds are not right here in the FMS. Every speed is at 310. To start with, you have to toggle the yoke in order to operate the FMS, or actually see the FMS. Why is there no pop-out window like in other good add-ons? So it's questions over questions. And I think they've made it even worse with a new update. I remember I saw videos, YouTube videos, where people were able to land this aircraft, right? Not only hand land it, but actually use the autopilot to land it. But since the update, I think it's 1.8 or 1.9 or whatever, this plane is literally unflyable. Yeah, at least on approach and landing. Don't use VNAV. Forget about it. The flight level change doesn't really work. Sometimes when you make or dial in a negative vertical speed, the airplane just ignores you and climbs. I assume it has to do with the trim settings, which are, you know, like messing with throttle, messing with the speed, messing with everything. But I wouldn't know. Yeah, I wouldn't know. It's just extremely frustrating, especially after a very long flight, that this airplane, which is usually among the most reliable and nice to fly, is behaving really, really badly. And of all the 3 commercial jetliners, I would say in FS 2020, this is the worst. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's focus back on our flight here. So we should be, okay, get rid of the yoke again to see what's happening here. So we are flying towards SE, and sometime after Beruk, which is up here, we should descend again, like in the 789, also actually 78-10. There is no top of descent indicator. Why not? I mean, this is absolutely crucial. I mean, even when I have VNAV engaged, I don't dare to turn it on because it might set up or mess up some of the indicators here. There should be an arrow pointing down here. So where is my top of descent? I have no idea. It's not shown here. So we have to rely on ADC.
CV8512 heavy contact Ream center on 128 decimal tree.
Okay, hand it over to Rant, center in France.
128 decimal tree CV8.
Yeah, so that's not there, so you cannot actually really rely on VNAV.
CV8512 heavy flight level tree 40.
I mean, you can turn on the VNAV and then go like a Hail Mary and hope that it works, but I'd rather not. I'd rather have more control. So what I will do is I'll try to use vertical speed to descend manually, so to say, and then hopefully the aircraft is behaving halfway decently in letting me descend. And also here, this is, I mean, look at this. Here it says 34000. Why am I then flying on 34120 or 110? What the hell? I mean, I'm on standard altimeter. This shouldn't be like 100 feet above. Why am I flying, I don't know, a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, I have no idea, to the right of my actual flight path? Why am I not flying on it?
CV8512 heavy descent and maintain flight level 220.
Okay, so here's the descent.
Descend and maintain flight level 220.
Let's keep fingers
CV8512
crossed.
heavy.
220. And again, I'm gonna use vertical speed. To go down. So far so good. It's accelerating. So throttle is back, that's fine. Jesus, yes, sorry, I'm toggle TCAS traffic display. That's another thing. So how do I know it's on and it's off? Toggle, it says toggle, but it doesn't say anywhere when it's on and when it's not on. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Anyway, so clouds are a little bit clearing up here, so we have visual of the scenery below. That's nice. That might come in handy when we later have to really hand fly this thing down, because that's what I'm afraid we have to do. Yeah, let's set up for the approach and the landing, hoping that this time we will not mess it up. So as for the approach, we're going to go 30, flaps 30, 145. That's quite a lot, but I have still a lot of fuel on board. I don't think I need that much fuel, so in reality we should dump fuel now. But last time, like remember the first two efforts that failed in landing, I had below 50,000 tons of pounds of fuel in there, and that caused probably the engine out. Yeah, so I'd rather have more fuel, even though that might increase or that might be pushing the aircraft below allowed landing weight. But my primary concern here is I want to land. I want to get this aircraft down, right? So I'm not going to dump fuel. Better not going to dump fuel, and this means we have a relatively high VREF speed, landing speed as well. 145. We add 5 to the for the wind. We're going to end up at around 150. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some of you have a better experience with this aircraft. Maybe it's also dependent on the patch, on the update. I don't know. Maybe before they update it was easier to fly. But I just really don't know what I should think of this. I mean, look at this also. I mean, we're flying a right corner, and this aircraft is hanging to the left. What is this? Yeah, what is this? I mean, it's crazy. Okay, now I should stop with my complaints and focus on flying. I get you. I hear you. Giver, waypoint giver. It's not even shown in here anymore because we're crossing it. So LX887 is the next one. That's in 22 nautical miles. Maybe we should expedite our descent. Right, auto brake, let's not forget. Because of the ground effect, because of, you know, eventualities, I'm going to go for
CD8512 heavy descent and maintain 16,000 feet.
I'm going to go for
Descend and maintain
auto brake
16,000
3.
feet, CV8512 heavy.
We're good for now. We're 16,000. Should be doable. Well, not quite, but Sorrel, I think, is 14.7 below. Again, aircraft, I mean, should fly straight. Look at this. I mean, what is going on? I mean, do we have a fuel load problem, a fuel distribution problem? It can't be the wind because the wind is blowing from straight ahead pretty much. So why is this leaning to the left? I mean, the simulation of the fuel load is probably not. No, it's actually, you see it here. It is mirrored, right? It is exactly right. So we have the same load of fuel in either wing. So there's no reason for the aircraft to lean to either side. So this is France down there, I assume. To our left, to the right is Germany. And we're hitting a bit too high, no indicator. Here, usually you have a gauge or indicator that shows you how you're doing on your vertical profile, whether you're too high, too low, how many feet, and so on. Not here. Having the feeling we should descend more or descend quicker. I think there's a deceleration point. So maybe we want to go down to 210. Oops. Okay, give us descent instructions, please. We need to descend. That's Sorrel. Oh, Jesus, where is ADC? Where is ADC? Please give us descent instructions. Akelu, 9,300 below. Where is ATC? Where is ATC?
CV8512 heavy, please expedite your descent to 16,000
Okay,
feet.
because we're not. Jesus, because we are. That's another thing. So we have to be exactly at 16,000 because otherwise they're not going to give us the next instruction. And now it's not even descending. Can you believe this? I mean, look at this. I'm telling it, go down 1,300. Why is it not descending? It's actually climbing. Can you believe this? What is this? It's unbelievable. Okay.
CD8512 12 heavy descend and maintain
Okay,
7,000
so
feet.
now let's go down to 7,000.
Descend and maintain 7,000 feet CV8512 heavy.
CV8512 heavy descend and maintain 8,000 feet.
Okay, 7,000, now 8,000.
Descend and maintain 8,000 feet CV8512 heavy.
Fine, whatever you say. Why do you say 7,000 when you want me to be at 8,000?
CV8512 heavy contact center on 127.6.
127.6 for CV8512 heavy.
Okay,
Center CV8512 heavy is out at 14,000 feet for 8,000 feet.
CV8512 Heavy Center, continue to LX885 as planned. Altimeter tree 0.21.
I'm really curious whether we get vectors, because there's no way we're going to make it via access to the airport. There's no way. So let's prepare that we have to switch to heading mode at some point. HECA-ELLX 885, 486. Where's HECA-ELLX 885?
CV8512 Heavy contact Luxemburg approach on 119.905.
Okay, approach.
Going to 119.905 CV8512 heavy. Luxemburg approach CV8512 heavy is at 11,800 feet, descending 8,000 feet.
CV8512 Heavy Luxemburg approach, continue to Excos as planned. Altimeter tree 0.21.
Okay, we're below 250, that's already good. Let's turn on the lights. There we go. Might also turn on the APU at this point. Not sure if you do this in the real world like that.
CV8512 Heavy, you are 12 miles southeast. Descend and maintain 3,000 feet, keep speed below 210 knots. Expect ILS runway 24 approach via Echo Lima uniform transition. Clear to Echo Lima uniform.
Okay.
Descend and maintain 3,000 feet, keep speed below 210 knots. Expect ILS runway 24 approach via Echo Lima uniform transition. Cleared to Echo Lima uniform CV8512 heavy.
So, alright, so now what I need to do, I need to dial in the Echo Lima transition, right? Because otherwise, let's ask vectors.
Luxemburg approach CV8512 heavy, requesting vector to next waypoint.
CV8512 Heavy, continue to Echo Lima uniform turning and following heading 025.
Continue to Echo Lima uniform turning and following heading 025 CV8512 heavy.
We're going to go here to approach arrival. Evo 1 as ILS 24 and transition is ELO, and see what happens here. No, this is not right. Let's fly, heading. Okay, so ADC has abandoned us.
CV8512 Heavy, please expedite your descent to 3,000 feet.
Okay, 3,000. Don't get nervous. Go down to 3,000. We're flying heading, then we're flying to USR, and then we are flying the approach. So we are 210, that's great. The localizer is there. we need to go down to 3000. Let's go down to 3000. So if the ADC doesn't give us vectors, we're going to do no problem. We're going to pick our own vectors. Let's go down to 3000. Let's go down to 3000. The aircraft is not flying. It's actually climbing. It's not descending. Okay, so we'll try it again. I don't know why I have to dial in descent twice. Let's go here to turn around. We want to be flying to user. How's the terrain here? Expedite. Okay, sounds good. Looks good, looks good, looks good. Heading a bit. I'm not sure. I think I saw one approach pattern where you would actually do what we're doing now. You would overfly the airport, and then in a sweeping right turn, you would line up with the runway. So I'm not sure if this is close to what we're supposed to do, but you can see the routing here is absolute bogus rubbish. So we're going to fly parallel now to our final runway track, and also had a look here. So image ref approach ILS 24 3145, and the nav rep is, the course is 239. So we're way below the glide slope. That's really good. So we could actually be making it. I mean, this is a little bit, we're taking here our own liberty. We're flying actually way too low. So all those folks living down there in posh Luxemburg neighborhoods, they will complain about the noise. Why is this aircraft flying too low? But yeah, whatever. So user 3000.
CB8512 Heavy, you are 10 miles northeast of Luxemburg. Contact Luxembourg Tower on 118.105 when inbound.
Okay.
Tower on 118.105 CB8512 Heavy.
So let's not forget to contact the tower.
Luxembourg Tower CB8512 Heavy 11 miles northeast inbound ILS runway 24 approach.
CB8512 Heavy, Luxembourg Tower. Cleared ILS runway 24 approach. Altimeter tree 0.21 wind 269.
Okay, standard. Yes, we need to set the altimeter.
Cleared ILS runway 24 approach CB8512 Heavy.
And now let's turn in to user. Or uniform Sierra. There we go. Slats are already extended. What did I say? Uniform Sierra Romeo user, right? $13 miles. Scenery looks nice. Lush green. Not sure why the localizer is not. Whoop! No. Heading. Sorry, this was wrong. Let's go down to 180 here. I'm not sure. I mean, I think the localizer should come alive, but it's not. Flaps 5. There it is, localizer, zack, captured. Alright, so next thing is we're gonna engage the approach mode.
Luxemburg Tower CV8512
So
heavy is
engage
11
approach
miles
mode
northeast
and
with
wait
good to
for
land.
the glide slope diamond to come down.
CV8512 heavy, Luxemburg Tower. Fly straight in
Also
runway
add some
24.
flaps,
Altimeter tree,
flaps 10 and 15. There's the runway over there. You can see the blinking lead-in lights.
Make straight in runway 24 CV8512 heavy.
Light clouds in the sky. Conditions are good for landing. I'm a bit worried about is the nose fluctuation up and down of the aircraft's nose. Very nervous. Not something I would expect. Flaps 25.
2500.
There's the glide slope coming down, and we should be on the glide slope any moment now. Let's dial down to a final approach speed of 140, 150. Gear down. There we go. Glide slope is connected or intercepted.
CV8512 heavy cleared to land runway 24.
Spoilers aren't.
Wind 269er
Auto
at
brake
7.
3.
Clear to land runway 24
Okay, autopilot off.
CV8512 heavy.
Auto throttle off. Now let's get this thing down. Okay, the poppy lights. Glide slope wise, we are a bit too low, but poppy lights say we're good, but we need to be a bit more to the right of the runway. Okay, speed is good. Too high.
1000.
Just looking at the poppy lights now, not at the glide slope diamond, because that's again buggy, too high, too fast. Come on.
500. 400. 300. 200.
Wow.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Come on. There we go. Butter, I would say. Spoilers deployed. Very nice. The only thing is we're not exactly at the center of the runway, but overall that was a very nice landing. Applause. And we should exit the runway. Right here, waiting for ATC. Okay, flaps up.
CD8512 heavy turn next taxiway.
Whew. Welcome, Luxemburg. That was a bit of a challenge. That was a bit of a challenge, to be honest.
CV8512 heavy contact ground on 118.105.
Bigger challenge than I thought, but maybe mainly because the aircraft is really difficult to fly. Not because it's challenging to fly a 747. It is probably, but because it's so inconsistent. So Luxembourg, obviously not a handcrafted airport, looks decent enough. I do have the add-on for X-Plane. There's the general passenger section is here, and the cargo section is there in the back, where the big aircraft are placed. Okay, now I'm again running out of fuel. Oh my God, it's so fitting. It is so fitting with the entire messy flight. You see, it just switched off my engines. It's just, I don't know, I don't know what's going on. The parking where we wanted to go is right here next to this fake 380, but we can't because the engine's shut down. You can see here, no pressure, no hydraulics. You can also see here 42,000 pounds of fuel still left there. So anyway, we almost made it from Egypt. So the last, let's say 300 meters, unfortunately, we did not make it. Yeah, and I'm not sure what's going on here. I really don't know. This happened to me also in flight at approach, that suddenly, for some reason, the aircraft decided to shut down. Not sure what the reason is, the culprit is. Anyway, it was a nice landing, that's for sure. Unfortunately, I could not finish this flight to the gate because, yeah, of a very, very buggy, erratic aircraft. It's not fun to fly. I would advise you against it. Please wait until they patch it up, hopefully within the next months. Right now, it's an absolute mess. You cannot really perform a simple flight from A to B without running into problems, especially during approach and landing. So it is an aircraft that looks really beautiful, but has a very, very, very high frustration level. Yeah, that's my impression of the 747. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video here soon. Bye bye.